If you remember the Players Coalition that Eric Reed, who kneeled with Colin Kaepernick, was so adamantly against, so much so to the point that he tried to attack Malcolm Jenkins of the Philadelphia Eagles on the damn football field, for crying out loud, in Philadelphia when Carolina was going up against the Eagles. The Players Coalition, nevertheless, sparked what they called the Inspired Change Initiative. And that was when the owners committed $89 million to the African-American and disenfranchised communities to help address issues that were permeating those particular communities. Having said all of that, we have to look at it from this perspective. I think when you talk about Jay-Z being involved, you talk about a voice being in that room that plays an integral role in influencing the National Football League and using their strong arm to assist and provoke change. In other words, you got them officially involved. They're not just paying off the Players Coalition or donating money to a cause. They've partnered with Jay-Z, and they're going to allow him to have a voice in that room when you're talking about things such as brutality on the part of some police officers against members of the black community, or various other issues that are going on in our society that Colin Kaepernick wanted addressed. Jay-Z is not the kind of person, and he's somebody that I've known for years, he's not the kind of person that's going to sit idly by, be quiet, and have absolutely, positively nothing to say. He's going to be willing to bring attention to these issues and to address them. And the fact that Roger Goodell and the National Football League has invited him into their room where they're partnering with one another to bring attention to some of these issues. And they've expressed a willingness to have Jay-Z assist them in using their strong arms in order to provoke change. I think that's a beautiful thing. It's something I wholeheartedly support, and I got a lot of faith in Jay-Z in terms of his willingness to bring attention to some of these issues that need attention brought to them, and to force the NFL to assist him in any way that they possibly can.
Look, on the surface, you can have a very cynical view of this, which is that the NFL is trying to co-opt social justice issues and Jay-Z sold out to them, and now that they've brought him into the tent, they have kind of protection against certain kind of criticism or protest that could affect their bottom line. And I actually don't have an issue with a cynical view of it, because the fact of the matter, the question is, what has happened? What actually happens? Often, economic pressure is brought to bear and businesses react. In this case, the NFL may react for less than pure interests, right? Just for purely self-interest, for business, for their bottom line. And who cares what pressure changed their behavior, so long as the behavior changed? I get that. So Jay-Z goes from the guy who said, who turns down the halftime show, this is widely reported today even, saying, you need me, I don't need you, to a guy who's now quoted as saying, once he struck the deal, as saying, hey, I can't control the world that we live in. But I actually agree with Jay-Z now. He can't control it. He can just try to contribute to moving it in the right direction and also make a buck as he does it. What's more American than that? And so this is kind of where we are now. If you recall the end of the film Casino. You ever see Casino, Stephen A?
Yes,
with
of course.
De Niro and Pesci?
Several times.
At the end of the film Casino, which is a fictionalized account of an era of development in Las Vegas, right? Mm-hmm. At the end, remember what the narrator said was, ultimately, what Vegas did, because they didn't want to compete with the bookies, is they brought the bookies who were taking bets inside the casino, and they wound up with a sports book, right? That's essentially what the NFL is doing here. We have competing interests here. We want to keep a huge portion of our fan base happy. No Colin Kaepernick. Bad. You must stand for the national anthem. We need to make an example of him. But then when there was a counterculture protest against that, saying, wait a minute, why can't Colin Kaepernick get a look? You're lagging behind on social justice issues. They also want to keep that portion of their fan base happy, and so they bring Jay-Z and Roc Nation into their big tent and cut a deal with him. So ultimately, where do I come down on all this, Stephen A? I'm glad that there's progress in that respect. I also can't get over the fact that Colin Kaepernick, it's not just that he doesn't have a job, it's that he's not being given a look He's not been given a chance to audition, essentially, for a job.
Well,
he was, when last seen, certainly one of the best 64 quarterbacks in the league, and he's not. And the reason I think that's so important is it's symbolic. It's not just about their immediate bottom line. An owner is concerned that maybe there'll be protests against that team. It seems to me an effort by the owners to make an example of Kaepernick. And it's important for the sake of history that they not be allowed to succeed making an example of a guy by unfairly denying him work.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with that, but what I would tell you is equally important is that anybody who has spoken out against the National Football League at the time that they were flagrantly ostracizing Colin Kaepernick, even though some would argue that's still the case, if you're going to elect to do business with them in the future and you spoke out against the NFL in the past, at least answer the question as to why there has not been some level of insistence that Colin Kaepernick at least get a look. Because we've been addressing a plethora of issues that Colin Kaepernick assisted in bringing attention to. But lost in the source of it all is that people haven't been asking enough about Colin Kaepernick and his status and why he hasn't gotten a look. It's like he's the forgotten man in all of this, and he was the one that was the spark plug for all of it.
And here's the irony. The NFL can't kill Kaepernick because if they wind up making him. But even so, if he winds up being a martyr for this cause and he never gets another look, it will only empower his legend in future generations. Colin Kaepernick sacrificed his career on the altar of social justice, and then change came about, but he couldn't participate going forward. That will only strengthen the protest that he made and what he stood or kneeled for.
We're out of time, but as far as JayZ, this is so strategic because performing at halftime, you're entertainment. You're a laborer yet again. The NFL wins. Now he has a seat at the table. Now he's a partner. Now he has control and can really create change.
After turning down their offer for him to perform.
Yep, 100%.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.